It's all good though.
Remind me who this is again?
This is Dutch Guts. This is my friend Bobby.
I remember liking it last time I was here too.
Yeah, it's dope. It's become our thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's become our thing. And we changed it for a minute, and we brought it back.
Yeah.
It's the music.
You're like, no, too good.
Yeah. Boom.
Vultures circling above.
Boom, boom, boom. We're here.
We're here.
We're here. We can breathe. I'm ready to go. Ready to rock it. So, ready to rock it. Oh, Dad. Such a fucking dad thing to say. Oh,
that is a dad thing to say. Oh no, man, your transformation is complete.
I'm gonna buy some New Balances tomorrow and just get it going. Just get it going. Anyway, so we do this. We have different people in, and the goal is to have all different perspectives and people in different professional spaces come in here and just share information. Right now, it's a time about resources and information. So I've been kind of promoting this in my professional spaces for the past couple of weeks. And we have my friend, Dr. Carleigh Golightly. She's a second-time guest. Hello. So I tell people you don't have to guess if you're healthy. And in the fitness industry and the wellness industry, it is usually assumed that if you look a certain way, that you're automatically healthy. And then people also say, I feel fine. And really, there's ways that you can tell if you're okay. So we have Dr. Carleigh here. How you doing?
I'm happy to be here. I gotta tell you, I'm happy to be here. No, it's always refreshing to sit here and have conversations with you. So
yeah,
I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, you're cool as fuck. Me and Carleigh get along.
Yeah, we get along all right.
So tell people kind of what. So let me say this. I'm super nerded out I nerd out on this stuff because especially for me with some pre-existing conditions, I don't take the chance of like not knowing. So I usually get my blood work done every 3 to 6 months as we're supposed to, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper and take my nutrition, especially after quarantine, after going hard in the paint. I wanted to take my nutrition more seriously and my training more seriously. And actually, really quick, it's great to get started with a training program after you get your blood work done, so you can adjust your nutrition and your training to fit what you actually need, as opposed to saying, I want to get fit for the summer. I think there's a certain intention that you can set. So I kind of set that intention. I took, Carleigh suggested I get some blood work done. So Carleigh explained to people, we're going to read my results. So explain to people the tests I took and everything that we did.
So we did comprehensive blood work on Eric. So typically, most people, when they go to, say, their primary care provider and they get blood work done, they're probably just going to be looking at a couple different things. Normally, it'll be your white blood cells, your red blood cells. It'll be your liver and your kidney. And then maybe you might get one of your thyroid markers done. Typically, that's about it. So we did all that in addition to looking deeper on a lot of different other things. So one of the big things that we looked at for you was different nutrient deficiencies, right? So the big one for you, I tested folate, vitamin D, and B12 on you. Do you want me to just go ahead and talk about it as we're going?
Really quick, with micronutrients, we take vitamins kind of arbitrarily. We say like, I'm going to take this and it's going to improve, but you can actually set intention with the way you supplement. And I think supplementing is way more than amino acids and protein powder. That's what people think we're talking about in supplementation, but really, fulfilling your nutritional needs, and you can do that with intention. So explain to people my results and some solutions, because there's certain problems you got to solve.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as nutrients go, so we tested folate, which is a B vitamin, vitamin D, and then vitamin B12. So for you, vitamin D was actually very low. So yours was at a 20. Just for reference, the lab puts normal at 30 to 100, right? So you're well below even what the lab would consider, even like less optimal for the lab, right? So you're definitely vitamin D deficient. And it's definitely something that you're going to actually really want to correct because moving forward, so vitamin D, in addition to being a vitamin, it's also a hormone. So it has huge effects throughout the body. One of the things about hormones, so it's more like a steroid hormone. So they can go into every single cell in the body, right? Which means that vitamin D has effect on every single cell in the body. which accounts for the reason why it's got so many different effects. So not only affects your immune system, it affects the way that your body uses calcium. It can affect your mood. It can affect skin conditions, autoimmunity, all these different types of things. So like I said, the reference rating that the lab uses is 30 to 100. I like to see people around the 50 to 60 range.
Yeah.
So we've got a little ways to go with you on that.
So how do you solve that? I know you can get vitamin D from sprouts, but I'm sure we're going to go a little bit deeper than that. So, so explain what we really do there.
Yeah. So, and I just want to say this generally for supplementation, always buy from a third-party tested practitioner grade supplement company that produces its supplement with good manufacturing process. Like you should be able to see this on all of their labeling that they're doing this. When you go to Sprouts and you just buy whatever's off the shelf, unless of course it says that on there, because I will say that some of those health food stores are starting to carry brands like that now, which is great. But you really have to do your due diligence to make sure you're getting a quality product. Because if it hasn't been tested and you don't know what's in there, you could be taking whatever, right? You know, I mean, there could be more than you bargained for, which when you're talking about fat soluble vitamins, so vitamins A, D, E, and K, is a big problem because if you overdose on those, it takes a really long time for them to get out of your system.
Gotcha.
So
it's important to know.
That's really important to know. And that's why also I'm not a fan of people taking vitamin D just because they heard it was a good idea to take vitamin D. You should always be testing if you're going to be taking something like that because it's a very real thing that you can overdose on it.
Wow. So I know we spoke a little bit prior about how how I'll be taking it. So I think you talked about mega dosing and then more incrementally dosing it. So walk us through that a little bit.
There's a couple different ways to do it. The way that we're going to start with you is by doing 5,000. It's called IUs. Is the international units is the way that we measure it. So 5,000 IUs a day for about 90 days. And that should be enough to raise that by about 30 points, right? So to get to that 50 that we're looking for. From there, you would move to either 1,000 IU a day maintenance dose or do 10,000 once every 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
And do the mega dose that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do the mega dose because I'll forget.
You can do that. That's totally fine.
Awesome. We spoke about it. So many African Americans have naturally. I'm assuming we're not in the sun enough anyway. Yeah. But then we've adapted to receive more sun than we're receiving here. So it's a maladaptive biological response.
Your pigmentation makes it so that you can't. Your skin doesn't transfer absorb vitamin D, create vitamin D the same way that my fair English, British, Irish skin does that burns after 5 minutes in the sun. But so people from African American descent need to be a little bit more aware of those types of things.
Gotcha.
And yes, you're absolutely right. We don't get enough sunlight as it is, but then you throw that into the mix and
what are some of the signifiers? So if you're vitamin D deficient, what are the things that I could have been feeling, but I just didn't know what to look for?
So like I said, it's a pretty has really widespread effects in the body. One of the most common things, so people will start to notice like kind of, I guess you'd say like, feels like weak bones. So vitamin D is really important for bone health. A lot of people will feel like fatigue, have just kind of random symptoms. So like skin issues is one of the things I see a lot of with vitamin D deficiency. Again, just because it's kind of got these really widespread effects in the body. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what else we got in there?
Right. So next thing we looked at was lipids. So this is another one of those really common tests that people will get from their doctor. So Lipid Panel is really important because it tells us about your cholesterol. It tells us about your LDL, your HDL, triglycerides. All these are basically different, like as you could say, permutations of fats inside of your body, right? So cholesterol, first of all, something that I need to...
this is a lot to unpack, the cholesterol thing. So go slow, because I know so many, like all we know is HDL and LDL, good and bad.
Right.
That's what most people know. Right. And my tiny brain knows tiny bit more than that. But I'm just like everybody else, where it's like, you don't really know where to go. So explain, take your time, break it down to people.
Absolutely. Okay. So cholesterol is not only this, I guess you could say like fatty sort of particle that's inside of our food and inside of our bodies. cholesterol is actually incredibly important because it creates all of the sex hormones inside of your body. So one of the issues that we see with people who went on like super low fat diets and things like that is it tanked their hormones.
Yeah.
Also, because now you don't have that backbone, right?
Bodybuilders, right?
Yeah. A lot of them did it, which is kind of ironic because you need cholesterol to make testosterone and all that.
I'm sure that has a large part of the issues you see in the bikini female competitions.
Oh, absolutely.
They will compete and diet down for 20 weeks or sometimes 6 months and then be so sick after hormonally.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't even draw that together, but there's some people I want you to come that I want to come see you after this.
You're like, wait a second.
But continue.
Right. So that's cholesterol. That for you was actually in range, which is great.
Yeah.
I will add too that, we kind of equate cholesterol as being this bad thing. And really, honestly, cholesterol is only really bad when it's in conjunction with really high inflammation, right? So that's what causes those plaques to form inside of your blood vessels. That's what causes all of those increased risk for cardiovascular events, all that type of stuff. So it's not just the cholesterol alone, which is important to know. Yeah. Right?
Really quick. And we're going to jump all the way into inflammation, but it's not only quantity of LDL, it's particle size, right?
Right.
So can you explain that a little bit? Because it's not all bad. And is this a curveball question?
No.
Okay, cool.
No. So you have LDL, you have HDL, and then you have VLDL. These are basically all created in the liver, and these are different shuttle systems inside of the body to get lipoproteins in and out through the liver, to get them to the body, to get them metabolized out of the body, all this different type of stuff. So LDL stands for low density lipoprotein, which means it's basically a lipoprotein and it's got a low density of those lipids on it, right? HDL, high density of those lipids on it, right? And so they have different particle sizes. VLDL stands for very low density lipoprotein. So HDL is the most dense, so the most compact, and then they get kind of bigger from there.
Gotcha.
Right? So HDL is the one that we kind of consider to be protective because it scavenges all these different things up, right? So that's why we want to see your HDL higher and your LDL
I did
lower.
not know that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool, right?
Yeah,
I know.
It's pretty cool.
This stuff is fun.
You're a nerd.
I know, dude. I told you. I warned you. I was a nerd. I'm not kidding you. I was up till 9 o'clock last night, like looking at this stuff, having the
You're really a nerd. Up till 9 o'clock. She said she's up till 9 o'clock, and that's her. Like, I was fucking partying last night.
Dude,
reading.
I was going hard. Oh man, yep. That's me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Okay. So that's lipids. Okay.
There you go.
And we also looked at some of your apolipoproteins, which again is another marker. This one helps to assess your risk for maybe future cardiovascular events. Okay. Right. So
what should people, am I okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, am I okay there? Am I going to die?
Oh yeah. No, you're good. You're not going to die. You're not going to die.
So explain to people what they should be like. Someone comes in your office, what they should be looking for as this being a precursor to cardiovascular issues.
Yeah. So the different apolipoproteins and the ones that we tested for with you are the A and the B, and then the ratio between the two. And then also in your genetic testing, we looked at ApoE as well. So ApoE is the one that's mostly associated with cardiovascular events. As far as the ApoB and A go, you want to see a good ratio of the two of them. Right. So you actually, your ApoB was, again, just like slightly higher than you'd want to see it, but your ratio is really good.
Okay.
So that's great.
And that's all influenced by nutrition?
It can be.
I've been going hard in the paint, dude. Yeah. Really. It's super gross. Fucking peanut butter M&Ms for breakfast.
Tell us what you ate.
Peanut butter M&Ms for breakfast.
Today?
No, not today.
Oh, good.
I'm better now. Okay. But like during quarantine.
When you were taking this test.
Eating like a jar of peanut butter every night or half a jar every night. Like secretly while my kids are sleeping.
No.
Yeah, that's like the kind of life
in the corner living. In the dark.
Yeah, and then I eat and I'd be like, man, it's a bummer. And then I do it again later, Real fucking punk rock.
That's real stuff.
All right, what
super punk rock, almost like me staying up till 9 o'clock at night.
There you go.
What does that say about us?
Yeah, that's a wild night for us.
I know. So next we look at inflammatory markers. So Homocysteine is a marker that's associated with methylation. It can be associated with deficiencies in B12.
Really quick.
Yes.
So depression, they're finding is inflammation, and heart disease is inflammation. So explain just what the term is, just what people mean by that, and then what are the key things that are affecting inflammation?
Yeah, that's a really great question.
Thanks.
Yeah, so inflammation, like you said, is like this huge, broad umbrella term. Basically, what inflammation is you have some kind of stressor in the body. So whether that be, it could be a physical stressor, it could be an emotional stressor, it could be an environmental stressor. So physical meaning like you cut your arm, and now you're bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
Environmental being, say something like you've taken some kind of, or say you got a bacteria in your gut, you know what I mean? That's not supposed to be there. That'll cause inflammation.
Gotcha.
And then stress, whether that be, a real like emotional stress or perceived stress, also causes inflammation. Your body can't suss those two things out. So basically what inflammation is this chain reaction of cells in your body secreting what we call cytokines and interleukins. Again, these are all
fancy $12
big,
words.
Fancy words. But basically what these signals do is tell your body that it's under stress. It does things like opens up your cell membranes so that different other like natural killer cells and things like that can get in. It opens up the blood vessels, basically gives you almost like leaky blood vessels, you can say. Basically opens things up so that your body can get cells where they need to go.
Gotcha.
It also sometimes will increase the amount of like reactive oxygen species and things like that. Your body's just basically freaking out trying to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And in an acute sense, that's totally fine. But it's when you have it going chronically for years or months, years, decades going on, that's when you have a problem. Because it's actually a really important process, right? Without inflammation, your wounds would never heal.
Gotcha.
Right? That's how you start the whole process of healing is by inflammation. But if you kind of get this prolonged process going where you're never healing, you're chronically inflamed, your body's chronically trying to respond to something that's never actually getting fixed, that's when you have issues.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Does that answer it?
Yeah, that answers it.
Okay, good.
That was actually a very good, long answer.
Okay,
I'm sure you could have made that.
Yeah.
No, but it was good.
Well, I tried to give you just enough information, but not too,
not
go too in the weeds.
It was perfect amount. So,
yeah.
As you tested mine, what did you find and what were you looking for? Okay.
So homocysteine, like I said, that's the one that can be related more to B deficiency and the methyl cycle. Yours was good, actually. Yours was in control, which is great. Good. Homocysteine can be high for a lot of people, and if they have a higher homocysteine, that can be related to cardiovascular risks and then increased rate of aging and all that type of stuff too.
Gotcha.
High sensitivity CRP. Again, this one wasn't high, so you weren't like, off the charts, but you were kind of in a moderate range, right? So a little bit higher than I'd like to see. And what that usually is attributed to is being high stress and your diet being a little bit off. Which, I mean, given the circumstances that you were in.
2 fucking kids.
And you have 2 freaking kids. And you commute between Palm Springs and San Diego. Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah. And we were in the middle of quarantine.
I don't know why I live this life. I'm kidding. It's awesome.
Because you love this life,
I do.
man.
I do.
You love it. It's a great life.
I do. I really do. I never complain about it. I like it. Okay, so what do we got next?
Next, we have blood sugar control.
Okay, big. So first of all, there's a few things to break down. And these are parts that I have there's a few parts that I have a hard time explaining. So explain the mechanism of regulating blood sugar.
Yeah.
Like simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Explain the pancreas's function in that, and explain how it could lead to diabetic issues.
For sure.
And then normal levels and what people should be looking for. And if people having a hard time besides weight gain, what can people be looking for? That's a multiple level question. Yeah, I'll add them again.
If I forget anything in there, let me know. I'll add
more questions. But I think I'm stopping you at places where like so many, our culture is sugar filled, coffee with sugar, sugar,
everywhere.
dinner, you know.
It's
like,
everywhere. No, I recently, honestly, I did a Whole30 in the month of May.
Mhm.
And the reason I like it is because one of the main things I like about it is the fact that it really draws your attention into how much sugar is in everything.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing with the Whole30 diet, honestly, is that you just basically eat real foods and then avoid sugar. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
But what I really learn every single time I do it is like, holy crap, there's sugar in everything. Everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always say sugar. It says there's like dextrose or whatever. You know, it's got all these different names for sugar. It's everywhere. And so it's no wonder we have an epidemic
50%
of
will be
diabetes.
clinically obese in the next 10 years. Isn't that fucking crazy?
That's insane.
Half the population.
So get this. 6 in 10 adults in the United States have a chronic disease. 4 in 10 have 2. And we spend $3.5 trillion a year on healthcare. 90% of that is for chronic disease.
Broken.
Dude,
It's broken.
that should blow everyone's mind.
I say the same thing about the fitness industry. It's like we have this huge multiple billion-dollar business. Everybody's a fucking influencer. Yeah. Everyone's got booty bands, right? Yeah. But yet we have so many people who are fucking dying or going to die or killing themselves over the next 20 years of their life, you know, and who we're not hitting those people, not hitting them, but we're not reaching those people. Right. At least the way we're allowing it to be digested in both medical practice and in fitness, we're not providing the resources the way we should. So I think we have to reevaluate the way we approach that,
right? And
the language we use. I think that's important too.
No, I totally agree with you. I think a lot of the way that, at least from my perspective of things with medical, it's been really alienating for people in a lot of ways. Yeah. There's so much information out there, and for so many years it was like, oh, you have to go see your doctor, and your doctor is mandated by your insurance, and all these things. It was just a very impersonal process. And you had 5 minutes with them. You didn't get the opportunity to really learn. But that's what I really love about this kind of like globalization of information and social media and podcasts and things like that is, now we have the opportunity to share. Yeah,
that's like one of the things, like my little isms that I say is healing's for everybody.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's, so many people, it's looked at as a privilege. Like I would say, to be honest with you, I'm privileged to be able to do this. Some people can't afford this. Some people have not had a positive relationship with doctors or just within medicine. Right. There's lots of things, cultural things that go into that, but this shouldn't be a luxury process to be healthy. Everybody deserves that, or at least to chase that, So doing this on a podcast and sharing this information and the way you spoke about it in our previous podcast, how personal you are. Me and you have gotten along from the beginning because you're so welcoming. Right. And I know you're like the same way with your patients, like, hey, come in, like, and I think there needs to be, that's why I like naturopathic doctors, there's a lot of focus on the interpersonal, as opposed to when you go to your primary care physician, they pop in, what do you need to do? Somebody's already been in here one other time, and then she leaves and she's like, I'll call your prescription, and it's over. Right. And you're like, fuck, I don't even know this person. Right. They just, generally told me. Anyway. Right. No, I love what you're doing.
Thank you. No, I mean, I had that exact experience growing up, and when I was younger, I wanted to be the doctor that I never had. Yeah. That's the thing. I just wanted someone to spend time with me and educate me and teach me about what was going on in my body and why. And it took me years to figure out that becoming a naturopathic doctor was the answer to that. Yeah. So anyways, awesome. Back we go into blood sugar.
That's how podcasts are supposed to go.
That's how they're supposed to go.
That's exactly how this, if you're listening and you have one, that's the fuck what's supposed to happen.
And that's why I love this podcast right here, because it's like, okay, we don't have any bullet notes. We're going off the cuff.
No, that's what's
having
supposed
a conversation.
To happen.
This is great.
That's what people want. All right.
Great. All right. Anyway,
break it down.
So blood sugar. All right. So say you go out and you have pancakes. And you pour maple syrup all over them, all kind of delicious stuff. I love pancakes.
I ate pancakes yesterday. By myself, I made pancakes for myself.
Dude,
in my house.
No judgment. I would totally do that too. Yeah. Anyways, so your body uses its digestive enzymes to break those down. So you have pancreatic enzymes actually that come from your pancreas. So not insulin, but other things that come from your enzymes or come from your pancreas and break down carbohydrates, right? That's what sugar is. It's a carbohydrate. So once it's small enough, once it gets to this glucose form, which is the smallest form of it, it can cross the lining from your stomach into your blood vessels, right? And then once it's in your blood vessel as glucose, it requires something called insulin, which again comes from the pancreas. And what insulin does is it gets the glucose basically into the cells where it needs to be. So insulin receptors, which is how you get insulin to where it needs to be,
Burping. I have a burp in here. And usually when I'm by myself doing this, I'll burp right in the microphone.
Oh.
That's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah.
Not in the microphone, but over here. And you can hear a burp. But with you,
you're being so respectful.
Yeah, you're a lady.
I appreciate it. I am a lady. I'm a lady.
You're a lady. Okay, keep going.
So insulin is what's responsible for getting the glucose where it needs to be. So think like skeletal muscle, right? Like skeletal muscle, your muscles when you're working out, you need glucose. That's a preferential fuel source. It's also in your brain too. Your brain uses glucose as its number one fuel source. Something not a lot of people know.
Yeah.
So,
and did you know your brain prefers to use fat, but it uses glucose because it's most readily available?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But go ahead.
Yeah, it is interesting. So, that's the whole 1-2 of blood sugar, how it works, how it gets to where it needs to go. So let's talk about HbA1c and glycated serum proteins, basically. So HbA1c is a type of glycated serum protein.
Okay.
Just FYI. And basically what that means is, so you know if you have like sugar on your hands and it gets kind of sticky when it's wet, that's what a glycated serum protein is inside of your blood vessels.
Okay.
Essentially, right? So picture that. That's what happens when sugar, glucose, inside of your body comes into contact with inflammation.
Got you.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. So you can see how inflammation then is like this coming back in.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So those form those glycated serum proteins. HbA1c is the most famous of all the glycated serum protein. And it's how we monitor how high your blood sugar has been for the last 3 months.
Okay.
Essentially. Yeah.
How's mine been?
Yours has actually been really good.
What the fuck is going on? That's lucky.
I know. No, that's actually really great. And honestly, I would guess a lot of this has to do with the fact that you have a lot of skeletal muscle mass on you.
Be yoked and you'll be healthy.
No, seriously, it's incredibly, it's helpful and protective. Because your skeletal muscle needs glucose to run, right? It's the most expensive tissue that you can have in your body.
Yeah.
So it needs that glucose. So if you're going to eat like crap, work out is what I'm trying to say.
Thick boy season. And thick boy season is not ending. I'm going to be thick all summer.
Good.
I've kind of conceded that it's just what I look like right now.
I expect you to be. That's just who you are.
Thank you.
Know what? It's cool.
Sorry, is this hormones?
No, this is not yet. Hormones is the very, oh no, it's not the very last. It's like second to last.
Okay, I'm going to preface that really quick. So before we do that.
Okay.
But what do we have next?
Okay, so next is your comprehensive metabolic panel. This is again falls into that category of ones that you're probably going to get when you go to the PCP and just request to have your blood work done. So comprehensive metabolic panel looks at electrolytes in your blood. It also looks at blood glucose too. And it looks at your kidneys and your liver and tells us some of the enzymes that they're producing, basically how well are they functioning. So for you, you actually were looking really good on all of these things. The only thing that was slightly off was you had an elevated ALT, which is alanine aminotransferase.
Okay.
It's an enzyme that's present in your liver. And this one, when it's raised up, it tells us that you have you have something going on inside your liver. Like your liver's not totally happy for some reason.
Yeah.
I will say that yours was very slightly elevated. So the highest you want to see it is like a 41. Yours was a 46. So that means that you're pretty much, you're just a little off. But if you had something like hepatitis going on, you'd see it like twice, 3 times, something like that, the limit.
Got you.
So one of the things, again, inflammation can play into this. Liver is also responsible for, we talked about it in conjunction with HDL and LDL. It also metabolizes all of the hormones through your body. It's the major detoxification organ of your body. So
it's important.
Everything that you eat, everything that you drink, everything that you breathe in, it goes through your liver, right? So it's easy for that thing to get a little bit upset, and it's actually kind of shocking it doesn't get more upset. Right.
Magic.
It's this is a fun fact. Again, nerd moment here. This is the only organ in your body that can regenerate itself.
Whoa.
There's nothing else. Like if you chop off a finger, that thing ain't coming back. But if you chop off a piece of your liver, it'll grow back.
Whoa.
Pretty cool, huh?
Science fiction.
Awesome. I know.
So you gave me a little advice with milk thistle, but what are some other things people can do? Or if it's just milk thistle is the go-to, how do people?
Sure.
support their liver?
So I always go
best?
diet first.
Yeah.
So especially for the liver, cruciferous vegetables is what we call them. So this is like the brassica family of vegetables. This is your cabbage, your cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts, broccoli, collard greens, kale, all those type of stuff. Those are really high, especially broccoli, and like sprouted broccoli is really high in something called sulforaphane, which I know you've heard about because you listen to Rhonda Patrick a lot. So sulforaphane is a precursor to something called glutathione, which is made and used in the liver and throughout the body. But it's our major detox chemical, you can say, in the hormone in the body. Yeah,
Gotcha.
It's very, very important.
Very important.
Sulforaphane helps to increase that, and obviously, if you can get that from your diet, that's the best way to do it first. It's the go-to.
I was watching a podcast with Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, I know Ronnie
he's
Coleman.
Like, I don't eat vegetables ever. He's like, for his whole bodybuilding career, ate zero
Dang.
vegetables. But maybe that's why his body's falling apart. Probably not, though. He's just a horse, you know.
He is a horse.
He's jacked. All right, what do we have next?
He's a horse.
Sidebar.
Okay, so next, this is where we did your hormones.
Okay. All right, let me preface it.
So do
really
your
quick.
preface, yeah.
So this is probably the most important part of this for me. A few reasons. Early in my 20s, I was so into bodybuilding that I was like, I blasted my hormones. Took a bunch of steroids. Did nothing crazy, but just did too much testosterone. Didn't monitor anything. I think there's an approach that a lot of people take. It's like more and more and more, and people don't realize you don't need that much at all. But that's just, I was young, So I did that for a number of years and completely ruined, my endocrine system.
Yeah.
So over the past 2 years, I've been messing with hormone replacement with my doctor. But with also having mood disorders, I've noticed issues with my mood when my hormones are imbalanced. So, starting this new phase, like this almost prep, this dieting period, I call them, where I'm going to be in training cycle for the next 3 to 6 months. I wanted to say, okay, I'm going to get my hormones balanced. She asked me, what did I want out of this test? And I said, balance. That's the only thing I want. That's the major thing I want. So going into this, I want to make sure my hormones are where they should be. And she's going to go to where mine are and where they should be, where we're going to be working to get them. And as to why and what some things I've been experiencing and I can experience with them low, where they are now, and some improvements it'll make when they're higher. Is that a good intro?
That's great.
Boom.
Let's do it. All right. So the first thing we tested was your thyroid. This is one, so typically when you get blood work done, people will run a TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, and that's where it stops. I also ran T3 and T4, which are the actual hormone that comes out of your thyroid. Okay. TSH comes from your brain, and it tells your thyroid what to do. Okay. So if you're looking at the TSH, you're only looking at one piece of the puzzle, right? There's a possibility that something could be coming from the thyroid as well. You want to know actually how much of the hormone is coming out of your thyroid gland and how much of it is what we call free versus total. So free is kind of, I don't know if you've looked at free and total testosterone.
A little bit, but not a bro science-y, so break it down.
So let's break it down. So total is just like it sounds like. It's the total amount that's there. Free is what your body can actually use. So when you're talking about total, you're including free plus the stuff that's, we call it bound up and inactive, right? So the inactive stuff, obviously you can't use it. It can't bind to receptors if it's bound onto something else. Typically that'll be something like serum, like albumin, which is a protein that comes from the liver, again, or it'll be sex hormone binding globulin, which is another protein that your body makes in the liver. More liver.
The liver doing it all.
The liver, dude. It's
the
an
liver,
amazing
out of all the
organ.
organs, the liver's crushing it.
It is
Shout out to my liver right now.
Shout out to the liver. Love your liver. All right. So actually, your thyroid looked pretty darn good. I must say. So we did a TSH free T3, and 3. Oh my gosh, that's a word.
It's a mouthful.
Twister right there. Free T4 on you. So you want to see a good ratio, about a 3-to-1 ratio of T3 to T4. You're right about there. TSH, I like to see between a 1 and a 2. You're at a 1.4.
Boom.
So,
perfect.
Awesome. Killing it. Now we get into the other stuff. So we did all of the different sex hormones on you. So that means we looked at all the different estrogens. We looked at testosterone, free and total. We looked at progesterone. We looked at prolactin. We looked at DHT, which is it's a metabolite of testosterone. And then I also looked at FSH and LH, so follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, which come from the pituitary gland. Actually, it's the same gland that gets the TSH, that makes the TSH. And then we looked at your sex hormone binding globulin as well.
So break it down. What'd you find?
So break it down. So let's talk about, I'm going to start with the FSH and the LH, which are the ones that come from the pituitary gland in your brain, right? So these guys are the ones that tell your testes, so for men testes, for women your ovaries, how much hormone to make. Okay. Right? So for women, we have kind of this like cyclical thing that goes on and they go back and forth. For men actually have kind of a cyclical nature of hormone production as well, so not as pronounced as it is in women. But if you're taking something like exogenous hormones, so like testosterone, or even for some women, birth control will do this. What it does is it shuts down that FSH and LH because your body works in feedback loops. And so if you have a whole bunch of that hormone already in your body, it's going to register like, oh, we've already got enough. We don't need to make any more, right? Gotcha. So it can shut that feedback loop down. And so then the pituitary gland stops.
So what does mine do?
So yours is really low. Yeah. Both of those are really low. Yeah. Because of the fact that you're on it, you have been on it for a long time. So there's no need for your body to do it. And this is part of the reason why a lot of men struggle coming off of testosterone. Yeah. Like post-cycling, because
what would you feel? What do you feel? Describe that as to why people don't get off. Right. So describe like what are some of the symptoms you would feel when those things are low and you're not on your hormones.
So the main thing that people think about when they think testosterone is they think, for men, they think like trouble getting an erection, low libido, all that stuff. And honestly, that's one of the things that typically brings guys into the office. Yeah. But it can also cause just fatigue, being tired, depression. That's another big one that I see. Guys depressed, I think about T. I also see a lot of difficulty from recovering from workouts, things like that. I'll see a lot of kind of just like muscle weakness, fatigue. Yeah. And guys will just say like, I just don't feel myself.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like myself, you know? And that's okay. And we kind of talked about this earlier. Like if your body's telling you don't feel like yourself and something's off, like it's time to look at it. Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't feel good. I'll tell listeners, it does not feel good. Imagine. And in the beginning, like I was able to do that for a while. Yeah. And then I started to prep for a show. And then I wasn't losing and getting lean like I was supposed to. So a 20-week prepped and turned into like 6 months of trying to diet down because I had these fat instincts in me to just like, lose 10 pounds and eat like crazy, gain 5 back. Anyway, so I stayed on for the longest time I stayed on. I just never got off. Yeah. And before it was like 3 months, but planned out, and then it became like, okay, I'm just doing this. And then before you know it, this is just what you're doing. Right. And it's just there. And I have experienced it's really affected my depression. For having the mood issues that I've already had, I definitely would contribute. I know for a fact that when my hormones are imbalanced, my mood definitely suffers. That's why I take it super seriously now. I don't, think of it as anything extra. It's just, this is what I have to do to stay. Yeah. Well,
you need it now.
Yeah, now I need it.
Yeah, you need it. It's
unfortunate. It's a little embarrassing, but I think this is an opportunity like on here to share that because in our industry, this is a huge part of it. All those influencers that are shredded and jacked that's why the few that are there, they say natural because that they have to.
It's quite an accomplishment.
It's very.
It really is.
It's very. It's a huge thing. So. Those trainers and those coaches, those female and male, those CrossFit people, it's like, this is just what we do in the industry. So I want to share this for any listeners who are in that industry, or I have a friend of mine who I'm thinking in particular who listens, like, hey, pay attention to this. And if you're going to do it, I don't necessarily think it's bad. I don't think taking, I don't even like calling them steroids, but I don't think like taking exogenous hormones is bad. I think not monitoring yourself after, not doing it the smart way, because the doctor will tell you, it's not like they're not going to call the police on you. Right. You know what I mean? They're going to tell you what's wrong with you.
Right. We're here to take care of you. We're not here to call the cops on you.
Yeah. And I think people, they do it all underground. It's like, okay, you can do this. Yeah. They're not going to tell you to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to do it underground, but And I like to say this, I would rather someone be doing something like that with me under my supervision, even if I don't recommend it. I would rather that they're still coming to see me so that way I can monitor.
Can be monitoring it. Yeah,
Right.
that's what I would tell anybody. You don't have to guess.
Right.
You don't have to guess. You should be, and for young people, because you end up like me. Thank God I had kids.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
now anyway. So let's continue to go through that.
Yeah. So that was FSH and LH. So like we mentioned, those are both low as we expected. Let's talk about testosterone since we just kind of were on that. So there's 2 markers for testosterone. There's the total testosterone and the free testosterone. So total, again, all of it. Free is what's available.
Gotcha.
So most people talk about testosterone in terms of the total T. So we'll start with that one. So yours was at 315. Optimal, where guys feel their best, is 700 to 800.
Yeah.
So you're not deficient. In fact, they say that the lower end is like 200. That's freaking low.
Yeah.
And any guy who's there will tell you that it doesn't feel right.
good.
It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, I honestly, like I said, I like to see more as 700. So if a guy comes to me at 200, I'm like,
got you.
Yeah.
So we'll be monitoring that over the next couple months. And,
right.
And all this blood work, you do this every 3 months or 3 to 6 months?
3 months. Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah. If you're doing testosterone, I would
Every
definitely
3 months.
every 3 months is best. Sure. Yeah. You can push it out to 6 months if you absolutely have to.
Once things are balanced, like they said.
Yeah. Once we've got a good rhythm for you, I think that will be a little bit more reasonable. But
boom.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got?
So let's also just talk real quick. I want to talk about your estradiol also, because that was kind of interesting. And so your estradiol, so estrogen, this is one of 3 main estrogens that are in the body. Estradiol, yours was really, really low. So men do need estrogen.
It was on purpose.
It was on purpose, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about it, which is kind of why I want to bring it up. Because when we're talking about, someone who's taking anabolic hormones or something like that on their own, this is something that could happen to them that they may not be aware of or know how to fix. So what can happen sometimes when you're taking testosterone is that it can go through what's called aromatization. Basically, your body makes it into estrogen. And that's when you get symptoms where guys will start feeling like gynecomastia, or they feel a little bit weepy or things like that. They're just like, what's happening to me?
I was growing boobs for a little bit. I was like, my girl said, your nipples are big as fuck. I was like, don't you dare.
How dare you? Tears runs out of the room. So that is, and again, this is another one of the reasons why we say, like, you're going to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Have a doctor around, because if something like that happens, you're gonna want to know why and be able to fix that, right? So you were on a drug to help you decrease the amount of estradiol, which is great, which is wonderful. But now your estrogen is so low that it's like too low.
So what do we do now?
Well, it's gonna start coming back up once you're on the testosterone and not on the anastrozole anymore.
Gotcha.
So this is part of the reason why monitoring every couple months is so important, just to make sure that it's not getting back up to the point where gynecomastia, mood issues, and things like that develop again.
Boom.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's important to know.
It is so important to know. Dude, knowledge
is really quick.
The game.
So this is important because we have a lot of young people, but I think most of my friends are between the ages of 27 and 40. What ages should people start taking a look at this? Obviously, they should probably look in their 20s as well, you should know. But when should people start looking? And obviously, you said at 300 you want to look at hormone replacement. But what's the time frame where people start paying attention to this?
I'd say if you're in your mid 20s. That's when things are really kind of starting to change, right? Like you're not quite a teenager anymore. Things are starting to level out. You've probably had a decent amount of stress in your life. You're working. You've had some level of, environmental exposure to things, dietary stuff like this. Is when things start to really build up, right? It's kind of like that mid to late 20s. So that's probably the time to start really looking at this. And, like once a year, getting blood work done is sufficient at that point.
Got you.
Obviously, that goes out the window if you're someone who has some kind of active condition or something like that, ongoing health issue, basically.
Gotcha.
You would need to look into that more frequently, probably. After that, so in your 30s, I I think that, sticking on the once a year, getting blood work done and comprehensive blood work done, like, right. Not like you're just getting your CMP, CBC.
Not just what your primary care is doing.
Exactly.
And also going to someone like Carleigh, your primary care physician is going to try to run your insurance. You are going to have to pay for things like this. And people should know that because your primary care physician is going to cover the basic stuff, but you hear everything she's explaining here. You should know all of this. So it is worth an investment, but we were talking about as we're walking in, our jobs become our foundation of everything that we do. And really the foundation should be your health and wellness. Because if your health and wellness is prepared, you can show up in your job as more productive and show up in a more positive way. You can show up for your family better, you show up for yourself, you feel better, you're more confident, have more mental and mental peace and wellness. So things like this are an investment, a financial investment, but they do go a very long way. And you can really, you don't have to guess whether you're okay or not. Right. You can, set intention for how you're taking care of yourself.
Right. There's a really great saying that I love, and it goes, a man who has his health has 1,000 dreams.
Yeah.
A man without his health has only one.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have everything, health is really the foundation of everything.
There you go.
Right. You can be a fully actualized, functioning human being in your family, in your job, in every single aspect of your life if you're healthy. If you don't have that, then everything else suffers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that. I love that you talked about that.
So we're going to round third and head home.
Yep.
What do we have here? Explain to people what this is not tricky, but this is the interesting, real interesting stuff.
Yeah. So what we have here is a genetic analysis. So what we basically did is we took Eric's raw 23andMe data. So this is the stuff it's basically a text file that you get when you run 23andMe. It's just got everything in it. And I run it through a program called Strategene. And what Strategene does is it pulls out of that raw data very specific genetic SNPs that have been associated with some kind of disease state or nutrient deficiency or just basically something that's less than optimal inside of the body. So we've got 30 something of them here. A lot of them, right? So it's a lot of information. And the reason that I love looking at genetics is because it's kind of like this blueprint, right? For your body. So you've got this blueprint and it is underlying determining how everything is functioning inside of your body, right? So, and it never changes. Like all these guys they're always going to be here. They're always going to be functioning the way that they are. And we now know what they are so that we can work around them, work with them, work to support them.
Yeah.
And something that I always want to caution people is don't get too stressed out about the genetics. That's something that a lot of people do is they see that and like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have to take supplements for the rest of my life. I'm screwed, blah, blah, blah.
And I was born with a bad hand.
Exactly. I was dealt a bad hand and now I'm definitely going to get heart disease or something like that. It's genetics may predispose you to something. They do not determine your destiny.
Gotcha.
Right. And that's why having this information can be so important is because of the fact that now we know, again, we're not playing the guessing game anymore. Yeah. This is why, the whole aspect of getting a strong family history when you go to your doctor, this is why they do that, because we're trying to determine okay, is there some kind of genetic component to things? And what can we do to basically prevent that risk from happening? Yeah. So, huge fan of genetics. I think it's super cool. I really do think it's the future of individualized medicine. Yeah. Right? Because again, we're not...
And this information was accessible. If you've done 23andMe, if you haven't, it's $75 on a deal you'll get, or $100. You don't even need to spend the $150 to get the health one because you're going to run it through anyway.
Exactly.
So it's reasonably priced.
This was cheaper than your blood work.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. there you go.
Which is insane when you think about what genetics actually is and the amount of work that's taken to get us to a point where we could do this. The fact that you could get it for less than blood work is that's nuts. Wild. It's wild. Yeah. It's absolutely wild. So, all right, let's hop into it. So there's a lot of different things that this
let's go
for. So let's
even if it's big to me. Break down the things that are common, that have super big, large impact.
Okay, great, yeah. So this first section that we have here, so the first 6 or so SNPs. SNP stands for single nucleotide polymorphisms. So you have a gene. It's made up of a bunch of building blocks. that we call nucleotides. And the specific way that those are ordered makes that gene. So what can happen is one of those building blocks gets altered in some way, right? So single nucleotide polymorphism needs alteration, right? So that's all it is. It's the gene's still there. It's not like you don't have that gene. It's just a little bit different from the other genes, what we call the wild type, so the most common.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah. So these guys here, these first 6 or 7, these are all methylation type genetic variations, right? So methylation cycle, what the heck is that? Everyone's talking about methylcobalamin, methylfolate, and all that stuff. So methylation is basically the process in your body by which an enzyme attaches a little carbon atom with 3 hydrogens on it to different proteins, enzymes, whatever. And by doing that, it turns them either on or off. So again, kind of this just underlying little process that's going on throughout your body all the time, just basically flipping switches on and off. I like to picture just little dudes and they're just like flipping on, flipping off. And it's really important because this is how we detoxify things out of the body. This is how we turn things like neurotransmitters and different hormones and all these different, literally every single process in the body is controlled in some way by methylation. Your genetics even are controlled by methylation. So there's this whole field now of epigenetics, which is basically saying, okay, so you've got this genetic profile, but now can we alter that genetic profile slightly by putting a methyl group on it? And in the realm of SNPs, sometimes you can make a SNP either more active or less active by the removal or adding of a methyl group.
Gotcha.
Right? So if you have a healthy methylation cycle, it can support even if you have basically a defective SNP somewhere else along the line, right?
Gotcha.
So you can see how this would be like the most important one to focus on, right?
Anything big in there on mine?
No. So actually you have what we call a heterozygous. So basically what that means is that you have in genetics, you have one from your mom, one from your dad, right? So you have one that's wild type and one that's a variant. Okay. Right? So you've got basically like 50% functioning going on. So it's still working.
Gotcha.
But you've got 2 of them in here that are just kind of a little less than optimal. But again, that's 2 out of 6 that we're looking at, right?
Gotcha.
So an area that you would probably need maybe a little bit of support in, but mostly you can get a lot of that from diet when you're looking at a number of
and when you say diet, what are you encouraging?
Okay, so foods that are really going to support your methylation cycle, dark leafy greens.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with dark greens.
Dude, you really can't. You really can't. They're seriously one of the most amazing foods.
Yeah, but it's kind of a bummer because they don't taste always that great.
I know.
You got to learn to like them.
You do.
And you got to get challenge yourself.
And the thing is too is that they are best when they're uncooked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can saute it, right? That's easy. Put some oil.
Then you got to eat 3 times the amount.
Exactly.
So you could either have 1 cup of uncooked kale or 8 cups.
Do you have a green supplement that you suggest?
Ooh, well, for this, no. Because it really it's best if it's fresh.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you aren't going to be doing fresh, I would jump straight to doing methylcobalamin and methylfolate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you won't get what you need out of
Boom.
it.
So, all right, cool.
So, moving along, let's talk about these guys. It might actually be easier if I go this way. Okay.
She really, let's talk about the markers that may affect my mood disorder. That's
yeah. Great idea. So let's go to those ones. So
yeah, there's really quick while she's looking through that. There's ways to. So my other doctor was like, get her to fax over this information because with the medications that I take, and then my genetic predispositions, he's like, we can actually really uniquely specify your treatment plan.
Yeah.
So this is more than just helpful for my quote unquote fitness level. These are all things that are going to support mood health and emotional health. Because obviously, if you listen all the time, we talk about that fucking healthy emotional life, bro. We talk about all that.
Man, it's important.
Yeah. So
it's one of the major players, right?
Yep.
One of your foundational levels. So for you, so there's a couple different genetic pieces that can play into mood regulations. So most of them one of them is going to be the COMT. That one's typically for estrogen. It detoxifies estrogen, helps get rid of estrogen. It also helps with things like dopamine. MAO is monoamine oxidase. That's another one that really helps with serotonin, different catecholamines, all that type of stuff. And then, so there's an A and a B for MAO. You have an MAO-B, basically you're homozygous SNPed for it. So you have two genes, right, that aren't functioning optimally.
Gotcha.
So what happens with MAO-B? So this is the one that helps to metabolize serotonin, dopamine, adrenaline, tryptamine, and tyramine. So all of these guys are like precursors to different neurotransmitters inside of the body. Obviously, dopamine and adrenaline, they are neurotransmitters. What does that mean? That means that when you have these things in the body, you have a really hard time getting rid of them. Gotcha. Right? So they build up. So the interesting thing about this, so in terms of like coffee, let's talk coffee for a second. I shouldn't be drinking coffee. So coffee raises your catecholamines, right? So catecholamines are epinephrine, so adrenaline, noradrenaline, all that type of stuff. If you have an MAO-B SNP, you're going to have a hard time getting rid of those. And so that means that all that stuff is going to stay in your system for a lot longer. And that's, I would guess that maybe I have one of these too, because we talked about like when I have coffee, I'm freaking amped for like hours afterwards and I can't sleep. I can't get rid of it, you know? So like long-term, you know, what does that mean? It really means that you've got this hyperactive, hypersensitive nervous system. Yeah. Right? And you can't really get rid of it. So you're on high alert all the time. So what does that do to your brain long term? Yeah. You know? Exhausting. Yeah. Exhausting. It's totally exhausting.
It is. Okay. Absolutely. That brings a little bit of peace. Okay. So solutions, are there solutions? You're fucked, bro.
Yes, I would never say that.
No, I know you would. I know you wouldn't. Oh, really quick. We forgot to do this. Everything she's sharing right now, I'm allowing this to share.
That's true.
I forgot to say that.
That's right.
So, boom. That's important. So everything.
Disclaimer, Eric asked me to be here and share all this information.
We discussed this prior. This is kind of the whole plan. So go ahead. What are some solutions?
So I will say that for this, one of the best things to do is going to be, again, to support that methylation cycle, right? Because if that's fully supported, then you're going to get at least a little bit of function back in there, because methylation is an important piece of that, right? I would say that, I honestly think that staying on the different medications that you're on are probably a good move for you, you know? Seriously.
I would never get off.
Well, right, exactly. And
they're
this
working.
Is a good example of a time when things like that are necessary. Yeah. Right? So you've got someone who literally has a genetic profile that makes it harder for them to physically get stuff out of their body.
So that's really awesome. Yeah. Because people who say mental illness is not like, that's tangible. Yeah. That is something you can say like, look, this is a real thing. And so that's very affirming to me. Yeah. That like, because I was born with that. I didn't do that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It had nothing to do with you, how you lived your life, choices you made, anything like that. That kind
of makes me feel good. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you should. I mean, no one should feel guilty about having any sort of mental health, anything, because I know for years it was stigmatized, and it thought there's been all kinds of crazy wacko theories about what that person did to like deserve it, or they're not taking whatever. We know enough now to know that that's not true. Yeah. And so no one should ever feel stigmatized with their mental health.
That's really dope. So anything else? I'm going to give you a couple minutes to like, if we're done here, I want to talk about like what you've been working on. Yeah. So are we done there?
One last thing. Okay. One last thing that I want to talk about for you, which is kind of this one's a pretty actually common SNP for people, but it's not one that was presented in that, in that big first chart. But you have it, and a lot of other people have it, and it's the PEMT SNP. So PEMT is the gene that helps to create something called choline inside of your body, specifically phosphatidylcholine. phosphatidylcholine is one of the many different little proteins, lipoproteins, that helps to make up your cell membranes. So that's what your cell membrane is. It's what we call a lipid bilayer. So it's 2 different layers of these lipids that basically create this nice little fluid, beautiful little cell membrane, and that's how you get things in and out of the cell. And it's great. You
Look
want
how
those?
Happy you are.
I know.
About it.
I'm just picturing it in my head. You have no idea how many times I had to draw one of these for a class. It's crazy. So you want those cell membranes to be as healthy as humanly possible, right? Every single cell inside of your body requires this. When you have that PEMT SNP, you can't make phosphatidylcholine as well as you should be able to. So that means you don't have as healthy of cell membranes, which feeds down the line to whatever, you know what I mean? Like you can imagine what huge consequences that could potentially have, especially for someone who's doing bodybuilding like you do, where you're like creating new cells, like you're building bigger cells and things like that. Anytime you're building, so for pregnant women, this is huge because you're creating a new human being.
Thank goodness I'm not pregnant.
Right. Thank goodness.
Took care of that.
Thank goodness. So choline, phosphatidylcholine specifically, is incredibly important. You can see. It's also really important for your gallbladder. Your gallbladder secretes stuff that help with digestion. If you don't have enough choline, it can't properly do that, and that's when people get issues with like digesting fats. So fats that come from either, like fatty foods, but also like meats and things like that, and can lead to SIBO down the line. So that dysbiosis, the bacterial overgrowth, right? Because things are just sitting there because they're not digested. So that for you, choline, again.
So supplement choline.
Supplementing some phosphatidylcholine for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and explain to people how you're going to write essentially scripts for me for all my supplements.
Yeah. So I use it's an online medicinary. So I don't stock anything inside of my office because it's so much easier to do it online. Yeah. Well, and also too, it's nice for me to just recommend it to you, and then you can go on and order it, get it shipped straight to your house. Whenever you need refills, you can get more of it.
Boom.
It's great. It's easy. Anyway, so I use a online medicinary called FullScript. So I write all the scripts for you in there with specific dosages, length of time to take it. Another thing about supplements, they're not supposed to be taken forever. Yeah. Right? They're supposed to be taken for a specific period of time and a specific amount for a specific reason. Yeah. Right? I see a lot of, ongoing supplementation for whatever reason.
Well, what about the basics though? I think, I would say basic supplements like your multivitamins, your essential fats, things like that. Can those be supplemented every day?
I would say. And
like milk thistles, things that are going to support organ health generally?
I would say if you're going to supplement with something, you could supplement with like a multi-B vitamin, something like that could be good. If you're going to do that, make sure it's methylated Bs in there. I will say that won't be right for everyone. There are some people where they take methylated Bs, it actually is worse for them. So just always being cautious and understanding that just because it might work for, 75% of people, it may not work for you. And the other thing is if you're going to take any sort of multivitamin, please make sure it doesn't have folic acid in it. Okay. Folic acid is, let's think of it like methylfolate's evil twin. So you want methylfolate. That's the good thing. That's what makes all this methylation cycle pathway work. Folic acid goes in there and screws up the whole game. Basically, it looks like folate enough that your body might try to use it as folate. It's not folate. It's not. And the issue with folic acid, it's that it's in all of those enriched products that you see. So like enriched breads, cereals, things that we're giving to our kids. Anything that says enriched on it, it's probably got folic acid in it. And it's not good for you, especially for people who have any kind of MTHFR, any of those methylation cycles SNPs. Folic acid is incredibly bad. Yeah. And
no shout out to folic acid.
No shout out to
you
folic
don't get
acid.
A shout out, bro. Stop fronting. You're not folate. No. Yeah. Now you said it on here. Really. So I do this. I try to get as many voices represented on the podcast as possible. Yeah. I do enough talking in life, but some people are ready to like be on a microphone, and I will say that you are a fucking star, man. I watch you. I watch what you do, and I just want to let you know I appreciate how hard you work, and and all you're doing. So tell people about where your business is, where they can find you, social media, everything like that.
Yeah, so I founded and operate, and I'm the sole ND over at Empower Med Clinic up in Rancho Bernardo. This is where I see all of my patients and this is where all the magic happens. So most of what I see a lot of like hormonal issues, now really branching out into this genetic type stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me on Instagram as at Dr. Carleigh Golightly. And I'm always, honestly, I'm around San Diego a lot.
Yeah.
I'm giving lots of talks and presentations. I'm starting to do Instagram lives and YouTube videos and things like that. I really, like you, believe in the power of information, and that when we elevate each other, we, elevate the vibration of this whole planet. Yeah. And it's only by this shared knowledge that we're going to be able to overcome some of the issues that we have as a country, as a world.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout, man. I've got a lot of things happening.
She's a killer, bro. She really is. Being around business owners, she's savage. So I appreciate you. We'll get the fuck out of here. That was a lot of information.
GTFO.
Thank you. We're out. Was it? Yeah, it's easy.
I dig it. It's easy. Yeah. No, you're right. It's easy. It's just like
vultures circling above. They're all in a piece, but they don't even know my name. Nah. Won't get even the swipe for the train. Cloudy, ride to the airport, gotta get right for the plane. Custom, smell like kush. Wifey hand in a tush. Yes, and I got no shame. Never. Some line to shine. With a broke, they got no game. Waking up next to a scat. Can't go home to a dame. Nah, tell themselves they're the same. Really though, who can they blame? I don't blame them either. They just wanna play the game and they're eager still. I don't wanna know you. I'm busy. You don't even know thyself.